They said the courtroom was supposed to be a place of justice. But on that cold morning, every pair of eyes watched the single dead veteran standing alone, clutching the medal of honor he never wanted but had earned in a way that still haunted his nights. And when the judge pointed at him and ordered him to remove it, the room erupted in whispers, the kind that cut deeper than shrapnel. What no one knew, not the judge, not the lawyers, not even the furious crowd, was that someone else was already on the way. An admiral who held secrets about this man that could silence an entire base. And when the doors finally opened, nobody in that courtroom would ever forget what happened next. The smell of old wood and paper clung to the air of the small-town courtroom, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone and whispers were louder than truth. Ethan Cole stood alone at the center, his broad shoulders squared but his eyes tired. Tired from war, tired from single fatherhood, tired from fighting battles no one could see. His daughter Lily sat behind him in a borrowed floral dress, her small hands folded, her eyes wide with worry she tried to hide. She was only 9, but she had the quiet wisdom of someone who had seen her father break and rebuild himself more times than she could count. Ethan didn't care about much anymore, except her. Every scar he carried, every nightmare he woke from, every medal shoved into his hands by generals he barely remembered, none of it mattered if it didn't help him protect Lily. But today, he couldn't protect her. Not from this. Judge Harland, a man whose voice always sounded like it was lecturing even when he whispered, leaned forward, adjusting his glasses with slow, disapproving precision. "Mr. Cole," he said, as if the name itself was a burden. "This is a courtroom. Not a military parade. Remove the Medal of Honor." A murmur rippled through the room. Some gasped. Some snickered. Ethan didn't flinch. Not because he was fearless, but because he'd already lived through worse. He lifted his chin, voice steady. "Sir, with respect, this medal isn't a display. It's my defense. You said I needed proof of character." The judge scoffed. "You think dangling that around your neck proves anything? It's a distraction. This is a custody hearing, not a battlefield." Lily swallowed hard, gripping the sides of her seat as tears stung her eyes. She remembered nights when Ethan would wake up screaming, holding the medal like a tether to sanity. She remembered him telling her, "I didn't earn this alone, Lily. Men better than me died. This keeps me standing." But the judge didn't know that. The courtroom didn't know that. All they saw was a veteran with PTSD, a janitor working nights at a naval base, a single father, barely scraping by, as the opposing lawyer put it. And then there was Sarah Green, Lily's mother, sitting 2 rows away, arms crossed, painted in designer clothes she bought after she remarried. She looked bored, as though this entire hearing inconvenienced her spa schedule. She wanted custody simply because a child needs stability, though she had never once shown up to Lily's school events or doctor appointments. "That medal," the judge continued, "does not belong in my courtroom. Remove it. Now." Ethan's fists curled at his sides. Not in anger, but in heartbreak. Because taking it off felt like erasing the last piece of the men who sacrificed themselves so he could live. He slowly reached for the clasp behind his neck. And that's when the doors slammed open. A uniformed officer stepped in, chest heaving as if he'd run the whole way. "Your Honor, Admiral Rourke is en route. He says it's critical he speak on behalf of Mr. Cole." The room erupted. Even Sarah straightened. Judge Harlan's face drained of color. "Ethan?" He froze. Admiral James Rourke wasn't just any officer. He was the Admiral. The kind of leader whose presence could quiet entire ship decks. Ethan had met him once, briefly, painfully, on the worst day of his life. Why was he coming? Why now? Lily whispered from behind him. "Daddy, is that good?" Ethan didn't know. But somewhere deep in his bones he felt the shift. Like a storm was approaching, one that could destroy him or save him. The judge cleared his throat sharply. "We will take a recess," he said, but his voice trembled. "Until the Admiral arrives." Ethan stood in silence, feeling eyes burn into him from every corner. The courtroom tension thickened, each breath harder than the last. And as he helped Lily from her seat, she slipped her small hand into his. "It's okay," she whispered. "You told me, heroes always show up right when they're needed." Ethan almost laughed, almost cried. Because he wasn't a hero. He was just a father trying to keep the only good thing in his life. But maybe, just maybe, the real hero was on his way. The hallway outside the courtroom felt colder than the winter air waiting beyond the doors. Ethan sat on the hard wooden bench, elbows on his knees, hands clasped as Lily leaned against his arm. The fluorescent lights hummed softly overhead, yet the silence between them was heavy. "You think the Admiral remembers you?" Lily asked. Ethan stared at the floor. "I don't know, sweetheart." He remembered the Admiral. But their connection wasn't something he ever spoke about. Not to Lily. Not to anyone. Years ago, in a torn-down village overseas, Ethan had dragged 3 wounded soldiers through burning rubble during an ambush that wiped out half their unit. He didn't stop even when shrapnel embedded into his spine, even when the smoke suffocated his lungs. When he collapsed at the extraction point, he didn't know who he saved. He only remembered the weight of bodies, the smell of fire, and the voice shouting, "Hold on, soldier!" Later, someone told him one of the lives he saved was Admiral Rourke's only son. The Admiral had visited Ethan once. Thanked him. Promised him, "If you ever need anything, I will stand for you." Ethan never believed he meant it. People made promises in grief they forgot in peace. But now the Admiral was almost here. A soft click of heels echoed as Sarah approached, arms folded smugly. "So this is your plan?" she sneered. "Drag some Admiral into this drama? What is he going to do? Tell the court you're a saint." "You're unstable, Ethan. I'm doing Lily a favor." Lily flinched. Ethan stood, stepping between them. "Don't talk like that in front of her." Sarah rolled her eyes. "Please. You think your little war stories matter here? They're just words. You're a janitor. A broken one." Ethan didn't react. He had learned in war and in life, some words weren't worth fighting. But Lily's trembling grip on his sleeve nearly shattered him. Then, a rhythmic tapping of polished shoes echoed down the hall. The officers standing guard instantly snapped to attention, spines straightening, chests lifting. Ethan turned. Admiral James Rourke walked toward them, white uniform crisp, expression carved from stone. His mere presence silenced the hallway. People stepped aside instinctively. But the Admiral didn't look at them. He looked at Ethan. And the hardened lines of his face eased, just a little. "Sergeant Ethan Cole," he said, voice deep enough to carry through walls. "It's been a long time." Ethan swallowed hard. "Admiral, sir." Rourke placed a firm hand on Ethan's shoulder, gripping it with a strength that said more than words ever could. "When they told me your name, I came immediately." Sarah blinked, stunned, speechless. The Admiral then knelt to Lily's height. "You must be Lily," he said warmly. "Your father once carried 3 grown men on his back under enemy fire. I imagine carrying you feels like nothing compared to that." Lily smiled shyly. "Daddy always carries me." Rourke nodded. "As he should." When he rose, the hallway seemed to shrink around him. His gaze hardened as he turned toward the courtroom doors. "Let's go. I have a few things to clarify for the judge." Inside, the moment the Admiral entered, the entire room stood automatically. Everyone except Judge Harland, who scrambled awkwardly to his feet a few seconds late. The Admiral walked straight to the bench. "Your Honor," he began, "before you make any decisions today, you need to understand exactly who you're speaking to." He gestured toward Ethan. "This man is not here to flaunt a medal. He is here because he saved lives, one of them being my son's. And when he wakes up at night in pain, when he works double shifts to raise his daughter alone, when he struggles silently with wounds that will never heal, he does so without complaint, without asking for recognition, without asking anyone for anything." The courtroom held its breath. Rourke leaned in. His voice dropped, but the authority behind it made the judge sit back. And you demanded he remove the Medal of Honor? Sir, that medal is the only reason my son is alive. It stays exactly where it is. Silence. Thick. Overwhelming. No one dared whisper. No one dared breathe. Ethan felt Lily slip her hand into his. He squeezed it gently. The judge cleared his throat. I apologize. I was unaware of the full context. The Admiral narrowed his eyes. Then let me give you the rest. And what he said next would change Ethan's life forever.